Today we're going to have Hana as well as I Am Rivenous join us to make an updated tier list. Yo, what's up, guys?
Hello, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Welcome. So we got Gib here too. We're going to make two quick tier lists, our tier list, and the second tier list we can make is I'm just going to poll every character in the YouTube community poll. So we can compare and contrast our final tier list with the viewer tier list that they end up making. And let's start off with Nicole.
For the A ranks, do we go by M6 or by M0?
I think we should do C6.
M6?
I think so as well.
Personally, she feels like a tier 0.5 to me.
I think she's tier 0 because she can also be in anomaly teams. You just really need her core, that's it. You don't need her skills or anything.
Yep. She does have uptime issues, and her buffs, while good, they're not completely universal, right? The defense shred is, but the crit rate and ether damage absolutely aren't. So, you know, if you actually look at the amount of damage she amplifies a team in comparison to, let's say, Caesar, right? I know, like, Caesar stuns too, but just like Caesar as an example. Caesar will pretty much increase any team that she's on's damage by 40-ish%, whereas Nicole's defense shred on a team she's not really meant to will increase it by, like, what, 15 to 20% tops. And she has duration issues. So for me, that's why I think she's in tier 0.5 is because of those factors, right? Like when you compare it to similar tier 0 characters, so we know Caesar's going to be in tier 0, right? So I'm just taking Caesar as an example. The duration as well as the buff amount is just a lot lower for everything but ether teams.
What takes for me a character like Nicole from 0.5 to 0 is also just how much easier the game gets when you play with her. Nicole is really good, in my opinion, for the same reason why Caesar is really good. They have something that no or none of the other supports really do uniquely, which again is like, it's not saying much because we don't have that many defensive or supportive characters in the game. I think it's fine to put her in 0. Like,
wow.
I think,
okay.
you know, I think it's okay for her to be in 0.
That's
I do think it is the hot take. It is the hot take.
Look, okay, I gotta be honest, I disagree, but the three of you, well, you outnumber me. Okay, next character, Ambi. We have Ambi.
Ambi's like tier 2 just because he's a stunner, or she would go like tier 3.
Ambi is a character that I think if you don't have another stunner, she is definitely serviceable, if not very good. And Ambi does stun very quickly.
Okay, tier 2. All right. We're close to, you know, our community. This is actually, you know, pretty split. 48 tier 1, 42 tier 2. So, you know, we're just you know, a few percentage points off from them. I guess the next character. Now, this is Billy Boy, M6 Billy. Okay, guys, this is why I'm a 90% Billy main. Because every day I log in, this is what I do.
Yep.
This is what I do.
The truth comes out.
I use Billy more than any other character in this game. And you'll see why. He has saved me so much time. It is not even funny. Right?
One stun, instantly kill.
Done.
I love this. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. You are so right.
I would do this
Done.
if Jane Doe did also do the same thing.
Look at that.
Jane doesn't. Jane doesn't. That's the thing.
No,
You have
she
to,
often whiff one on the side. Look, average clear time is like 11. This one was bad because I didn't kill the second wave. Average clear time is 11 seconds. Sometimes you get 10. Right?
Yeah, he's still the GOAT for this though.
Oh, my community's not on my side here. Tier 3 for Billy. No!
For me, Billy is like tier 1 or 2.
My opinion, tier 1, tier 2 at lowest.
I think putting him in tier 1, tier 2 is fair. Like, I think he's really good. Now that we have a lot of other characters that complement, like, I honestly think that like a team with like Chingy and like Nicole pretty much suits him as ideally as possible. He is a character that you kind of have to play to really understand like his strengths, but not everyone has the resources for that.
I mean, Billy just clears any physical weak content perfectly fine.
I could probably see like a tier 2.
Oh man, you know, I like Billy a lot. I'd put him in tier 1, but tier 2 is fair. We have not agreed a single time with the community here. Oh man, this is definitely a hot take tier list. We got to get through these characters. Next character is Neko Mata. M0, Neko Mata.
My main problem with her is you really need her M1, and her M2
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
helps her a lot. The thing about Nico is her dodge counter is actually pretty good, especially if you have trash mobs, because it groups them. And he also really likes her signature. I personally think Neko is fine. She has she has tons of grouping, but outside of that, her damage is a little bit lackluster in my opinion.
At M0 Neko versus M6 Billy, I don't really see Neko doing like a whole lot better than Billy. Just purely from anecdotal observation. So I'm fine with her here. Community also, hey, this might be the first time we agree with community.
Now I'm here for the COLLAB propaganda.
Yeah, same.
I think COLLAB is much better than Lycon. I think COLLAB is much better than Envy. I think COLLAB is much better than Seth. I think COLLAB is much better than Ben, I guess. And I personally really like Collider's style. However, what many people do not realize is Collider dodge counter is pretty insane.
Yeah,
it is. Yes.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, a lot of
And-
people definitely don't know about her dodge counter.
Probably the fastest stun application in the game. The moment where her basic 4 starts, you literally can just swap to every other character, do your stuff, and then you come back to her afterwards and you're good to go.
So here's a point that I don't think we touched upon yet. The newer DPS characters, they all fall in this awkward range of needing, you know, either like signatures plus like a really meta support to single stun cycle a lot of enemies, or they just need 2 stun cycles, and it doesn't really matter how much damage is amplified from like the stun slot. And because of this, because most accounts are going to 2 cycle most of the bosses in the harder fights, COLLAB is, well, you know, arguably the fastest stunner, and because you don't care as much about the damage amplification from Qingyi because you're not going to be able to 1 cycle it anyway, then, you know, COLLAB is there to give you the fast second stun and to kill the enemy. Right, so I find that because damage thresholds are kind of the way they are, the fact that COLLAB stuns extremely fast is helpful, because like the new characters like Jane, she typically 2 cycles, like, you know, the physical Shiyu 7 bosses.
To be fair, a pro and a con at the same time, so Collider's additional ability is pretty useless.
Yes.
Yeah, the
But that
chain
also
attacks,
means-
we don't have
For
any
now.
chain attack people.
For
Yeah,
now.
that doesn't matter right now. But
Yeah.
the great thing about that is also you can literally slot her into any team. It literally does not matter. She will do her job well in any single team.
I personally think tier 1 is a fair placement for her, especially given the future, you know, characters that we're gonna have to go through. All right, next character who I gotta be honest, sometimes I forget he exists.
Anton.
My opinion on Anton is if you really know what you're doing, you can absolutely make him slap some cheeks, right? But for most players, he just feels bad. So I think for the average player, tier 2, tier 3 is what I would put him. But you're right, Connor. There are people that will min-max his damage. They'll like figure out exactly what substats to do and clear in like 20, 30 seconds. Yeah, so tier 2, I guess we're already done.
For Ben, I know that there are equally as many Anton videos as there are of like
Ben,
people one
yes.
cycling. There are equally as many Ben videos of someone showing like them doing 1 point something million damage to Nineveh. And like what I want to lose said earlier, it's not that, you know, any character in this game is unplayable. Like, truly, like a lot of characters, when you put enough time and effort into them, they may not feel great, but like if you want to take like a, you know, damage per screenshot kind of take on it, like, yeah, Ben can do infinity damage, but I don't see most, if almost anyone, reach for Ben, just because you're already given so many free characters to begin with, that the odds of you not having a support or a character that can take Ben's place, I feel like is so low. I think he might actually be the first character we put in 3.
I will say, the clear times I've seen with Ben actually really, really surprised me. Based on what I've seen of him, he's similar to Anton.
But in that case, we also have to move Anton down if he's similar to Anton.
Yeah, well, that is a problem, right? And actually, if you think about it, Ben provides more utility than Anton too, right? Anton can literally only do damage, and Ben can, well, you know, do damage and support a little bit.
What do we do with Grace? I don't think she is necessarily bad, but I think she does not A, have a good team, and B, she feels so clunky to play.
I think the only thing saving her is because she's an anomaly.
I would put her tier 2 currently.
In terms of Electric, there's actually a really interesting issue. We have not had a single true endgame content for Electric yet. The only thing we've had are Shiyu 16 with an Electric in like the first half, and that's it, which you can brute force 16 most of the time with an off element. So that's actually the issue for, you know, an Electric character like Grace, is there just isn't the content for her. Personally, when I use Grace, I also feel like she's really difficult to use. I think it's reasonable to put her here, right? Next character is
Doesn't
Rivenus'
exist.
favorite.
I think the damage that he provides, and honestly the synergy that he has with Ellen, I don't think you could put him any lower than not even talking about tier 2 at this point.
Lycon is only good on one single team, and that is an ice team, because he provides, well, ice damage bonus.
What he does for his ideal team is pretty amazing.
Very likely future-proof for ice teams, despite even being
he'll
a standard
definitely age
character.
way better.
I think he belongs in tier 0.5. Okay, MZ Arena. This is the place for hot takes, I think.
Rena is maybe one of the most like annoying characters to keep track of in terms of like stats and buffs and like what she's doing.
And there's also there's significant opportunity cost for swapping on and off every 3 seconds, right? Because like so many characters, the best part of their kits are kind of backloaded in their B5s or whatever, or you don't have any energy, or the character won't even swap on properly because they're still lingering from earlier. Just like a lot of awkward stuff for the average player. Next character is Ellen.
You know, Ellen is still performing how she does or how she originally has. There's really no difference. I think I've seen a few people swap out someone like Sokaku now for Caesar just because they don't want to deal with how annoying it is to do the chain attacks or do like or like even mess with the flag mechanic to get the attack increase over just being shielded. And honestly, like with that, I think Ellen has really not like dropped or changed at all from being a solid DPS, which is what she was at the start, and she deserves to be tier 0. But I will say that she does feel really or much weaker when you don't have Lycone, especially now that the ice advantage she used have gone off.
Corrin.
I don't think she's like unusable. The obvious elephant in the room is that when someone moves away, you're instantly like a tier 4 character. But for like most DPSs, I think right now you are kind of playing under the assumption that you can force someone to stop moving, right? I think like probably the highest you could give her is like tier 2.
She's like physical Zhuyuan, but she's a 4-star, so like remove like 50% of like the power.
Cool, buddy. There.
Yo.
Oh.
Yo. The bear.
Sorry, we already put Ben in tier 3. Sorry, buddy. You lost your chance. You missed out.
All right, next character is M6 Lucy.
I think the character's busted. She gives you the attack buff. You get crit damage. She does damage, and her buffs have like permanent uptime.
If we leave Nicole in tier 0, I think it's fine to have Lucy in tier 0. I think the two are similar, if not, I would even say Lucy's a bit better than Nicole overall.
If you want to move Nicole down, I think that's okay. In my own opinion, like in my own thoughts, I never put Nicole in the same tier as Caesar. Like if we're gonna leave Nicole there, I could maybe see Lucy being up there because again, it is like a very like universal support.
We can't actually move Nicole down to tier 0.5.
I'm sorry, Nicole.
Yeah,
I like Lucy tier 0. I think she's very universal and she has the niche in off-field damage if more characters like Bernice come out.
Okay, so next character is Piper.
You know, point 5 I think for Piper I think is okay. I think if you would go lower to tier 1, I think it also is fine. M6 I think is what like really seals the deal though.
There is also one thing which Burners mains have cooked up with the Burners Piper Lucy team. Using the Lucy ultimate actually solves all of your energy issues.
Oh yeah, because it gives, how much energy does that give again?
It gives 10 energy to the entire team and 20 to the next person you swap in.
My only issue with Piper, the only reason I don't use Piper is because Jane exists. That's the only reason. All right, so Piper being in tier 0.5 for now, I think is reasonable. We can move on to the next character who happens to be everyone's favorite voice-changing little gremlin, Sokaku.
I think Sokaku is pretty interesting because, I mean, she gives the 1k attack, whatever, but in ice teams, she is extremely good.
So tier 0.5 for Sokaku from both us and the community. It looks like the community tier list is starting to converge towards ours. It's looking very similar now.
This is not a very hot takes tier list, guys.
Hang on, guys.
Wait a second.
We gotta mix it up. Soldier 11 is next.
I probably the hottest take on Soldier 11. I genuinely think Soldier is 0.5. She's gotten buffed literally like every patch. And then 100% uptime on her DPS. I think she feels fun to play. I think people that don't know how to time the fire suppression, if that's like your reason to hate her, I mean, just don't play the character. But if you're gonna like complain about it, I feel like it's a skill issue. She also is very beautiful.
So yeah, I mean, when it comes to dealing with fire weak teams and sides, like when you kind of look at the rest of the characters here, especially the other fellow DPS character, Piper, Soldier doesn't really feel worse than Piper for fire weak teams or for fire weak chambers. I think she feels great for them. So Seth is next. Here we go.
For me personally, he feels a bit clunky, but again, that's subjective. But I mean, if I have Caesar, I would just play Caesar instead of Seth.
A lot of people won't pull for Jane, Caesar, and Bernice, right? Which gives a lot of value for Seth if you just pulled for Jane as one of Jane's best, like kind of hyper carry Jane playstyles, right? Yeah, I mean, he feels fine, but like you said, is he the best character in like for Jane? Not with, you know, Disorder, but a ton of people won't have Jane plus Bernice. A ton of people won't have Jane plus Caesar plus Bernice, right? So for that value, you know, I think he's okay. And he can be used with any anomaly character that you really just want to focus on their damage. Like, there's no reason you can't use him with Piper.
Yeah, definitely at least tier 1. He's got niche buffs that no one else has right now.
Okay, Qingyi, does anyone have like any slightly different take?
I think her like biggest weakness from like what people keep mentioning is how slow she stuns, but that is like so overshadowed by how much stun damage she gives your team.
Yeah,
it's like crazy.
So M0 Zuyuan, for cake alone, she also deserves to be in the big tier.
So Caesar is basically an instant win for any account.
Yep.
Bernice has the great advantage that you can, well, play her in any mono fire team. You can play her as off-field in any anomaly team. So she has a lot of teams she slots into. She also even is great for somebody like Corrin.
My opinion, I think Caesar and Qingyi are probably the two most universal, right? Because like the others are damage dealers.
When you get one of these tier 0 characters too, you aren't even like clearing, or the help that it provides to your account is not like, oh, now you just barely got an S or something, or you didn't just like barely clear a piece of content. You cleared in like a minute, and you have like 6 minutes total to get S rank.
Yeah.
Is there anything you disagree generally about the tier list, Koba? Because you have not been here for like half of the tier list.
It looks pretty good. I have not had the experience with Anton. Why do you guys hate him?
Just somebody needs to be a T3.
Ben, down you go. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for hopping on. You know, I had a great time. Really appreciate you guys hopping up, or, you know, stopping by, making this tier list with us. It's not perfect. No tier list is. It's a hot takes tier list after all. And we also got the community tier list. I guess that's it.